When we first retired, we thought our evenings would be relaxing, but they really weren't. We would do dinner, we would have drinks after, we'd sit in front of the TV and fall asleep every single night.
And honestly, they were some of the loneliest, least productive hours of our day, and that is not a good way to end your day. We made a few changes that we're going to talk about today that maybe it'll help you end your day better.
So the thing is, when we first retired, we were exhausted. We were tired of being told what to do and when to show up and all of that. And we didn't watch any TV. We never had any time. So we decided that we're going to have our meals. Our kids are out of the house at this point. We were pretty much alone. And we're going to now start watching the TV shows that everyone's talked about that we didn't get a chance to see. And we did do that. And we found ourselves sometimes 2, 3, 4 hours. All of a sudden it's midnight.
I don't remember that.
I do. And we've had several glasses of wine. I'm in and out of sleep. Well, I remember it because I remember you poking me to wake up. But that wasn't fun, was it? I mean,
like I said, I don't remember 3, 4 hours of sitting there because, at that stage of our life, we're eating a lot later. So maybe it did go into 11 at night.
Sometimes it did, but not every night for sure.
So I think that the real main point is when we retired and the sun came up in the morning, we kind of had that urge to kind of get going, right? Because that's what we always had done. And then the night was kind of that time that we, took off the belt and, had a couple slugs of wine. And we thought, well, now this is retirement. We can do what we want. The fact was, though, it was a sedentary lifestyle for us. It was really pushing on a lot of our unhealthy habits. It wasn't really great for our relationship, even though we were both sitting there. But you know what it's like. You're watching TV. You're not really chatting it up. I would try to chat it up, and I still do that when we watch TV.
Pause and ask questions.
I'm a big predictor of what's going to come next, and that drives Mark insane. But it was a bunch of lost time. And if anything we need to press upon people on this channel that we have is time is what we have the most of, but what we have the least of in terms of the total lifespan that you have. So we really need to make the most of our time.
Yeah, I like that. So the first thing we did was we stopped letting TV control our evenings. Instead of just saying, okay, we're going to watch 3 episodes tonight of, what was the one show we started?
Game of Thrones. That was our thing.
Because we were far behind. So 3 seasons of Game of Thrones. And it's one of those shows
Oh, and Breaking Bad. That was the other one.
I had a hard time with that. But you know all these shows. And you know when all of a sudden you reach retirement and you have all this free time. You go, I want to start watching these shows. And sometimes that happens during the day. The thing is, we still had some work. Like we were doing this. We were doing some other things. So it wasn't like we really could do it all day long. But it did ultimately creep into that all day long. So that was really bad. But the evenings, we said, okay, we're going to watch TV tonight. So what we did was we decided we're not going to do that. We're going to limit the amount of TV that we watch at night to 1 hour. And I would say that's evolved over the last 8 years.
Yeah.
It didn't happen out of the chute.
No.
But now we watch one show, maybe 1.5, perhaps 2 if we have a little more time if we eat dinner really early, but it's really one show.
Yeah.
We do our dinner, we clean the dishes, we sit down at 7:30, we watch TV till 8:30. We walk Ruby, and then we go to bed.
Yeah. And even that, some nights, if we don't have something that we're watching, and you know what it's like, you go out to dinner and the first thing everyone says is, are you watching anything good? If we don't have anything to watch, it's nice to substitute that 1 hour with a longer 1 hour walk or a 1 hour bike ride or, a card games. We have neighbors across the street that love to play cards. Something a little more connected than kind of sitting like a zombie and watching TV.
Well, the next point really is one of the things we did. We would have dinner, watch TV, and have snacks. We stopped eating late night snacks and traded that for movement. To your point, we have an hour of TV. We don't have to have any snacks because we just had dinner. We had dinner 2 hours ago. But then we go out and we move and we walk every single night with Ruby for a good half hour.
Yeah, at least a half an hour.
That's made a huge difference in the number of steps we get, the energy that we have, the togetherness that we share. walking hand in hand with Ruby.
We don't always walk hand in hand. You're given just a bad myth there.
What do you mean? Sometimes we do.
No, but it does, getting out into the fresh air clears your head a little bit, getting the last few things off your mind or off your chest before you put your head on the pillow is good practice. So it does give you more time to kind of recap the day, figure out what tomorrow looks like, because our tomorrows are usually pretty busy. And then just, kind of ease into the bedtime routine. And that's a whole nother conversation.
Right. We'll talk about that in a minute, actually.
But this idea of snacks late at night, right? So I saw a post the other day that someone said, your hour at the gym really means nothing if nothing changes with the other 23 hours in the day. And this late night snacking, my girls and I have this conversation all the time because they're all always running around saying, just a little something sweet. I just want a little something sweet before I go to bed. Nothing worse for you than a little something sweet before you go to bed. So bedtime snacking is bad. So I've replaced my bedtime snacking with a big cup of tea, like a decaf tea, a chamomile, or a sleepy time or something, which has enough sweetness in it for me. My problem now is a big cup of tea before you go to sleep and you're in your 60s. Now I'm getting up all night, running to the restroom. So, you have to find what works for you.
Yeah. The other thing that we've done is, besides the hour of TV, and sometimes we don't watch TV, we'll watch 2 shows at a time, so we won't watch it every night, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. We don't really watch TV on weekends. So maybe 3-4 nights a week. But the other thing that we do at night is we make connecting with our core relationships very important. So that's Jody and her 3 daughters. That's me and my 3 sons. That's perhaps some other friends that we have, just to see how they're doing. Now, our kids all have careers and they're all busy during the day, so we can't really talk to them during the day. So nighttime, when they call, we pretty much drop everything that we're doing. Even in the middle of dinner, we are now just comfortable saying, okay, Evan's called, Markham's called, Christopher, you take the call and I'll nibble on my food and we'll take it because we can't talk to them during the day.
Yeah, I try really hard not to do that. It's tough when you're the mom of 3 girls and one of them works in the city of Philadelphia, and I'm from Philadelphia, so I can say this. It's not the safest city around. And I know when she's leaving work, she's a little bit nervous because she has to walk a ways to a parking garage to get her car to then drive to her home. And when she calls, I kind of look at it and do I should probably get that. Just checking in. And I usually I do hang on with her. It's usually right before we sit down for dinner, but I usually do hang on with her. And it's good time for me to catch up with her, but it's also safety time for her to kind of be walking and talking to somebody as she's making her way to her car.
Well, the other thing, I just was looking at our notes about this, making evening connection a priority. I also, as I was looking at the note, I was thinking that 2 of my sons are both up early. Actually, your daughters are up early. So I will do some early morning connection as well if I can't get it done at night. And this is between the hours of 6 and 7:30. So I'll walk Ruby, put my earbuds in, and I'll try to call whichever kids I haven't talked to in a while in the morning. So that, for me, spills over from night, because during the day, again, we really can't talk to our kids.
Right, absolutely.
All right. What's the next one?
The next one is, again, really starting to plan tomorrow before you go to bed. So whether it's over dinner, whether it's kind of planning that evening piece of your day and making it more active, more hydrated, more connected, but then also during that time, just talking about, like what's happening tomorrow, like what's on your plate, what's on my plate, where are we with tomorrow? Mark and I have scheduled days where we do a lot together and scheduled days where we're both kind of going in opposite directions. So it's always good to check in. I know like last season when we were down in Florida, I, for some reason, scheduled all of my hair appointments on the days we were supposed to be doing things together. And for your ladies that know how long hair appointments take, I was out of pocket for a couple of hours. So this year, that planning piece is going to get a little tighter for us.
Yeah, and the other thing we do when we're in bed at night, and Jody will tend to read. I'll read a little bit, but I fall asleep pretty fast. We'll also talk about the day we just had and celebrate the successes we had. maybe remind each other of where we went wrong. We didn't get so-and-so done. We need to do it tomorrow and move that forward. So really, instead of just getting into bed and saying goodnight, we talk about the highs and lows of the day, things that got us excited and charged up. So that's something to think about too as well. So you don't just end the day abruptly, watch TV and go to bed. We spend a little time chatting, which is good.
And it's also easier to have those conversations with the clarity of not 3 or 4 glasses of wine.
Right. By the way, there's a free download in the top of the show notes with a link to a free journaling guide. And this is a guide that we put together to help you find a way to start journaling either in the evening or in the morning to gather your thoughts, to think about what's really important to you and some of your wins and things like that. So download that free guide and use that as a tool to start your journaling journey.
The next thing that we did was, especially, if you don't go to sleep at the same time as your spouse or partner or significant other, you make choices if you're the one still awake. So, do I stay up? Do I watch TV? Do I stay up and stay out of the room? Do I read? Do I keep the dog with me? Do I put the dog in with him? I did fits and starts of all of that, but I determined that when Mark was ready to go to bed, he was ready to go to bed and go to sleep. When I was ready to, and I was maybe still ready to stay awake. So I made the choice to go to bed when you go to bed. Mm-hmm. But I spend a little bit of time with breath work. I spend a little bit of time reflecting on the day with my gratitudes and things maybe I could have done better, places I could have shown up differently. I spend a little bit of time in prayer and then a little bit of time reading. So I do those 4 things as I'm winding down my day, because I'm winding it down alone at that point. Because literally when his head hits the pillow, he's out like a trout.
I am.
So I needed some form of routine, so I wasn't just banging around the house or keeping him awake, or what do I do with the dog, like all the things. So I needed some form or playbook or plan for myself as I was winding down my day.
I'm sitting laughing because my wind down's pretty simple.
It's 8 seconds.
No, I take a shower, put my pajamas on, get into bed. We have our little chit chat. And as I'm laying there in 10 minutes,
not even.
I'm like, I got to put on my
CPAP
machine. I roll over on my right-hand side, put the pillow between my legs, and I'm out. I swear to you, I fall asleep in about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
I actually get dinged on my Oura Ring for that because
your latency.
My latency is so quick when I get into bed, I just fall asleep. So I don't get really credit for the time I'm sitting there with you chatting, but I do fall asleep fast. So let's look at some questions our team put together on this topic. Okay. 5 things we did to stop wasting our evenings. Here's a comment from Richard. My wife and I spend every evening apart. Oh, that's interesting. How do we reconnect without making it feel forced? Okay, great story. There's a woman in our masterclass that we're just wrapping up this week, and she and her husband, because of their work schedules, because of their sleep schedules, because of their snoring and noise schedules, 5 years ago, they made a decision to sleep in different rooms on purpose, and it's been fine. They're going through our masterclass, and we're now talking about reconnecting and reconnecting with your spouse or your partner or those people who mean a lot to you. And there's some tools that we have in the masterclass. It's a spouse-partner relationship tool. And when you go through this and you start asking each other questions about what's important, it became important to them that they've lost their intimacy. But they talked about it and they asked questions around it. They now have moved back into their room together, and it was such a big breakthrough for them because they started talking about it. Right. So, Richard, you could talk to your wife and just have a conversation that, I feel disconnected from you. Can we talk about that and find a way to get reconnected?
That's great.
That's it?
Yeah.
You got nothing?
I think that's great.
Oh,
no, I
okay.
think you covered that whole question without me.
Okay. All right, you take the next one then.
Okay.
This is Carolyn. See what Carolyn has to say.
Carolyn, who is 65, I fall into the same lazy pattern every night, and I hate it. Where do I start? Carolyn, I am a huge Change One fan. I don't know if you know the concept, but if you take one thing and change it and stick with it for a week, and when you come around to that, if you change it on a Monday, the next Monday, keep that change in place and change one more thing, you will have changed 52 things in a year. So if you've got a whole bunch of things that you don't like to do, don't overwhelm yourself by trying to change it all at once. Just change one.
Yeah, make a list of the things you want to change. That's a start. Just get a journal, a piece of paper, and say, these are the 5 things I want to change. To your point, tackle one and change it.
And then build on it.
And do that for 30 days. And then add another one. And another one. And over time, again, there's no race to do this. For you to change all 5 things at once in the first day, that's a lot. That's a lot to ask of anybody.
Absolutely.
But just be committed to change. And like Jody said, pick one and do it.
And change it.
All right. This is Lynn. I'm 53. I try to reflect at night, but end up overthinking. That's so funny. Not funny, Lynn, but it's funny that that's what we humans tend to do. How do we keep it positive? So we talk a lot about overthinking, and we'll not necessarily call each other on it, but Jody might be thinking about something and go down a rabbit hole, or I could get down a rabbit hole, and we'll just recognize that. Like, I think you went too far with this. Let's back up a little bit and not go as deep and see if we can come to a conclusion. Because it's easy to overanalyze things.
Well, I also think at this stage of life, with technology moving as quickly as it is, with information coming at us as quickly as it is, with our age and, all the file folders we have open in our brain to tap, someone can say something as easy as, let's go to the beach, and that might send you down, let's go to the beach. Okay, what time do you want to go to the beach? And what should I wear to the beach? Is it cold outside? Is it going to rain? Do we need an umbrella? Do you have sunscreen? Should I wear my jewelry to the beach? You can go down a rabbit hole because of all the files you have open in your brain. So it's easier just to take the let's go to the beach, those couple of words, and back up for a second and say, do I want to? Yes, I'm going to the beach. So simplifying is probably the best way.
Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, this next one, give me 15 minutes and I'll save you 6 years of a miserable retirement. Jody and I go deep on some things that we wish we had done differently than we started and how we're now living the best retirement ever. So watch this one next.